I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. And today we're going to do the unboxing of something that just came in the mail. Now, what came in the mail is something called a GD-77. It's a radio that hasn't been released yet, but will be released soon by Radioddity. Now, they recently upgraded their GD-55 product to GD-55 Plus, which put in the proper software and facilities to do DMR properly at Tier 2. Now, this new radio is supposed to be just what the doctor ordered for DMR Tier 2. So we're going to take this out of the package here, came all the way from China, and see what's inside. First, let's look at the box. Got all kinds of labels on it. I guess you have to have all kinds of labels to be a legitimate box. Notice that it's from Shangri-La. I've tried putting these into Google Maps and get some interesting things. Anyway, it came directly to me via DHL. Okay. So they had it all set up to come over and put another label on the other side, which put it right into the U.S. priority mail system. And it came to me at my post office box there. It didn't really take that long, a couple weeks. So, let's see what's inside. First of all, let's get it out of the package. Okay, the yellow DSL package, and there's nothing left inside, so we'll set that aside. Here is a 120 to 163. Don't know what that means. I have to say this is pretty well packed. Okay. Again, this radio hasn't been released yet, but this is the Radioddity GD-77 featuring call codes, which would be for FM, wideband, narrowband, selectable, and encode detection, DTMF, encode D2, push-to-talk ID, password firmware update, dual time slot for point-to-point, dual time slot for repeater. We can at least test the point-to-point here. There's no repeater on the on the western slope here. If somebody'd like to send one, that'd be great, but no, I don't think there'll be one coming. It's just 5 watts, whereas the other is 10. Okay, it's got all the usual things that it thinks it has to have. The 1750 hertz tone is for European use. Okay, got a fancy little box here. And says Tier 1 and Tier 2. I mean, it's upfront about what it claims to be, dual time slot. And we get the battery, charger, power adapter, user manual, dual band antenna, belt clip, the radio itself, and a programming cable. I hope it works with Windows. We'll find out, okay? So we'll just open it up and see what we have inside. Okay, on the top is a manual with a very nice full color illustration. I'll have to look at the manual and see if it's got see if it possesses pretty good English. Okay, the whole manual is in English. Then there's something here that has to do with the protected level for water. This is not marked as waterproof like the GD-55 is. Okay, here's the radio itself. And, oh, it's got some nice up, down, sideways buttons for selecting the menus. You gotta put your call sign in there really, really small. And that says owner, right? Chinese to English, yes. Okay, the battery comes off easily. The battery says 2200 milliamp hours, or 2.2 amp hours. And DMR digital transceiver, okay. And we would expect to, well, that's interesting, that was just stuck there. Again, this packaging, by the way, looks a lot like Baofeng's packaging too. I wonder if it's a private label brand or something. Here is the correct US plug, a pretty thin little wire that goes over to the charger box, and we'll probably have to charge this before we go any further. Radioddity input 12.5 volt DC, output 8.4. So this is smart because you can use the output like in a car or something and charge your battery. One of the other radios I looked at had a 10 volt input, and there were some people trying to use it with their cigarette lighters, and I think one actually created a fire with it. But this is the 12 volts, so the power supply just plugs in there. This is quite light. Okay, one thing that I like too is that instead of just the two ends, it also gives you access to the middle of the battery, which is good. That's the way lithium-ion batteries are supposed to be charged. Each cell individually, not through the whole string. A little clip. The antenna. The antenna is described as, let's see if we can get this thing to focus right there on that. FM 136 to 174, 400 to 460 megahertz. Now note that even though it says FM, antennas are mode agnostic, so come on, focus. Well, there we go. Okay. So, now this Radioddity has the little pin for the antenna. Pin goes down inside of that. These are SMA microwave connectors. So, now the Baofeng radios do the opposite. They put the male on the radio and the female in the antenna. So this way we can, oh, let's see if that really wants to go on there. It went on and then seemed to meet an obstruction and then went on. It's got some heft to it, a little more than I expected. And Radioddity GD-77, okay. And I'm hoping that they've programmed some channels for me. You use the up and down buttons to step through the channels, okay. And let's see, how do we get to there? This one right here changes which VFO you're using. This is digital, this is analog. You can see the little A, and you can put all kinds of things in here. I can only imagine what the programming looks like for this. Now they don't have the programming code out yet. They promised to send it to me. So here is the cable. Fat old fingers that don't like to open these things. Now this is the Baofeng way of doing things. More technically, this is the Kenwood way of doing things. Now the last GD-55 had a very different connector. So I'm expecting this to be an entirely different radio. There's no brand name on this. We'll check and see whether it goes in, what kind of driver it comes up with. These are the screws for the little clip. All right, now the manual is going to say to charge it before using it. So we will do that, even though it looks fairly well charged as it is. And we'll go through the buttons and keys and things like that. All right, so we have unboxed it. I want to say something about what Radioddity itself said about the radio, because I wrote them and I said, okay, tell me the differences between the two. So let me pull up this email. Okay, this is my contact at Radioddity. Hello, Dave. I sorted out some information about GD-77 file shown below. Simply speaking, it is a dual band and dual time slot DMR radio, but now it is not on listing, meaning not in their catalog yet, only a sample radio. Now it's got a document we'll go through in a minute about the programming software of the GD-77, because we are making two versions for fresh user and hams. So now we still have not completed it, but we will send you the testing version soon. And thanks for the video. This is the one on the GD55 Plus. After we watch the introduction in your comment, we really feel pleased, because GD55 Plus is that we absorbed the shortage from GD55. I think that means we absorbed the loss from the GD55, and we have done a lot of investigation, like questionnaire, for making this model of radio. Thank you again. Okay, so they fully recognize the GD55 didn't work. The GD55 Plus seems to, but this one is the one really into which they incorporate their lessons learned. So let's look at this comparison between Radioddity GD-77 and other radios. Okay, slots and brands, VHF plus UHF. Okay. The other probably means the GD55. Channels 1024. This has dual band, dual slots, meaning time slot 1 and time slot 2. It says all these channels can be used as either analog or digital. Can customize the amount of digital or analog channels by the programming software. Battery capacitor is 2.2 milliamp hours. It's got a dual time slot for repeater. Dual time slot for point-to-point. I think that's supposed to be a slash right there, but dual time slot for point-to-point. We'll have to try that with the GD55 Plus. Now this is important. More functions can be operated through the keypad, like editing the name of the channel, launching a channel, receiving frequency, and choosing the time slot. Moreover, we can also use keypad to set hiding or showing the frequency and the amount of channel on screen. So there's a lot more that you can do from the keyboard. Okay, this is important because one of the complaints is you have to have the programming software, which is true for the GD55 Plus. Programming, now standard programming means simple for fresh DMR users, which would be either, like novice hams or novice commercial users. Upgraded programming software for experienced users, meaning hams. Ham radio is more user-friendly, it says, in transmitting, receiving, channel setting, display setting. And this is something that has been a real reputation problem for Radioddity, is that they don't seem to respond when people inquire. And so they recognize that with the launch of this new radio, they need better after-sales service. Yes, I know it's misspelled, but that's okay. This is their goal. Contact the customer service on support@radioddity.com and get your answer in 24 hours. That's going to be their service promise, okay? The frequency range covers the 2-meter band and the 70-centimeter band. 1024 channels, output power 5 watts. The GD55 was 10 watts. Battery lithium-ion. This was a lithium PO, and I don't know exactly. I don't think it's polonium battery. I'm showing my ignorance of my high school physics. Battery capacity 2.2 amp hours. The GD55, which is this column right here. The column right here, you can barely see it in there, has a somewhat stronger battery, but then it has more power. Now, they have dual time slots. It says something about recording. That would be interesting to play with. The Radioddity GD-77 is not waterproofed, okay, whereas the other one is. And as you could see from the difference in the two radios, which I'll show you here in a minute. The programming software, there are two versions, the ordinary version, and here they call it the senior version, meaning the advanced version, which includes an exclusive driver software and instruction, will be for hams. The programming software, it says I think at this point will be on the Radioddity site, which is radioddity.com. The senior version programming software needs a passcode to unlock it. We do not recommend fresh users to program it with the senior version software, otherwise, oh, now this is a little bit scary right here. Otherwise, wrong operation will cause radio crashed irreversibly. That needs to get fixed. You should always have the ability to make the radio go back to factory reset values. Any question programming, please contact, and so on. Willing to solve any problem while using our product. Now, what I'd like to do is show you the GD-55 Plus. Yeah, we looked at this in a previous video, so I'm just going to very briefly pull it out here. There are some similarities. So let's notice here, we'll put the 55 Plus here and the 77 Plus here. So they do have a somewhat similar stylish look. However, on this one the antenna's way over on the right. Over here the antenna is on the left. This has two knobs. This one allows channel change, and then or just frequency up and down. And this is your volume. Here's the volume. There's no separate channel change in there. So, maybe I left that on. .4 volts. Okay, I was hoping for a flashlight, but not going to get one. The Baofeng has the flashlight in it. This doesn't seem to. All right, so here we are, GD-55 Plus, GD-77, both claiming to have fixed the problems so that they can operate properly with a Tier 2 repeater in the United States. So we're going to see. What I can do is do point-to-point with the different time slots and see if these two radios will talk to each other, and then show me on the oscilloscope that they've actually synced up and are using the proper time slots. We can do that much here. We'll have to leave it to others who have a DMR repeater to make sure that this works properly. By the way, the GD-77 is actually thinner by a little bit than the 77. So for those into skinny radios, that's great. All right, so that's where we are. I'm going to put them on the charger, and next video we're going to take a real close look at seeing how well this operates on normal FM and then on DMR, and presuming that this one does slotted DMR radio to radio, simplex, that this one will do that too, and we can demonstrate on the oscilloscope that they are in fact in sync and using the same time slot. I don't have any more advanced equipment than the oscilloscope, but there it is. So that's what we have. If you would please do me a favor and click like on this video. It helps bring these to more people, recommended through YouTube. Also, if you would please subscribe, that way you'll get notification of updates. After you subscribe, there's a little bell inside the sign that says subscribe. Click on the bell, and that will give you notification right away anytime that a video goes up. Also, if you would, please check out the tip jar and Patreon. Those are both important to me. The videos are absolutely free, but some people like to throw a couple bucks in the tip jar. It's like a piano player in a bar. You know, if you like the piano, you throw a buck in on the way out. And that helps me to provide test equipment, to get new objects. Like I bought one of those MFJ antennas. I bought the oscilloscope with the tips. And my next goal is to buy a proper signal generator that can get way up into the frequencies that hams actually use, rather than just the little toys. Now, key, very important, and this is something I want you to spread to your friends: use both feet when walking. It's critical. All right, until next time, this is Dave, 73.